probably the greatest success story I've seen in such a short period of time. This teacher was very, very anxious. She had 7 or 8 young boys in her classroom that were very dysregulating, and it was out of control. And we went in and helped her physically organize one day and then over the weekend. And wow, like it was a wow. Yeah, it was a wow moment. We now have a calm, regulated teacher. And that is one of the biggest things that we see, is it has a significant impact on the stress of teachers when we can get these classes regulated. Same thing at Uplands the other day. DJ and I were working in a grade 1 classroom. Teacher was stressed when we went in there at the needs of her children, and you should see that teacher now. And she is blogging it and journaling it, and is very open to share her feelings. And so hopefully the district will be able to hear her story, because she was very skeptical of us going in there. She did not want us in there. And now she is singing our praises, and we go into her classroom now. It is calm, it is regulated, the teacher is able to teach, and it's another huge success story in our district. So we are having many, many success stories in the Nanaimo Ladysmith School District that we can tell stories about now, of huge successes that are going on. Movement zones, I'm often creating a movement area for children so that they have an area that they know that they can, you can see when I'm not pacing too badly tonight, but usually I'm pacing a lot. So I'm kind of trying to keep in the camera zone here, but if I went to school and I had this, that would have been a great thing for me. So we're often looking at going in and helping teachers declutter walls, and we're trying to look at how do we, if we're using a word wall, how can we organize it so it's accessible for all children in all areas of the room. We're trying to look at bringing in children's work. We're trying to look at personalizing information. There's some great research out there that shows that when children come in and look at their own face, that it sends positive neurochemicals through their body. So we're trying to look at all of this research. And we're trying to look at therapy, deinstitutionalizing our classrooms. I was telling Chris that when I was just unpacking at Seaview tonight, and some of the parents were coming in, they came into my classroom and they breathed and they sat down and they went, ah, this feels calm in here. And so we're trying to create these calm learning areas where we can regulate teachers and kids and increase optimal brain functioning, and that often means that we're bringing in pieces of nature. We have nature deficient children, unfortunately. There's great research out there around that. So not only do we have less physically fit children, we are not having access to nature, and so we need to bring nature to many of our kids. And so those are not real plants, those are silk plants, and so we are often bringing that into our classrooms. So, should we go on a little tour? Let's go on a tour to Lacey's room, because we just finished the physical environment, and she's going to give you some testimonies without giving. Do we have to? Are you following us? Oh, okay. I'm going to give you the mic. Oh, well, come on. Let's.
So this is our average case. We have bedrooms here. This is our math science support room, our English social support room, our senior alternatives room, and then this is our self-regulation room / bridges is in here as well. And then this is kind of our corridor. So the feeling of what we're trying to do with self-regulation here isn't just to a room, but it's a culture that we're trying to, you know, have everywhere, where ideally this whole wing would just be interchangeably, where doors are open and classrooms are available and children just move throughout as they need to. And what you'll see in here is I've done my very best to kind of take Brenda's lead and set up a room that is as regulated as we can make it, and just kind of go with the kids' needs. But it's not strictly to a room, and it's not strictly to one teacher. It's kind of a vibe that we're trying to go throughout the school. So come on in.
So you start to see right away, obviously, you start to see you know, the concept of nature. You start to see the concept of declutter. You start to see the concept of simplicity. And so that is more neurologically friendly to many of our young people than some of the great things that we have.
Yeah, sit down, find a spot, regulate yourself. Get comfortable. I'd really encourage you to come and try the desks if you've never seen these desks, just to kind of get a vibe for what the sway bar at the bottom does. I'm going to turn this off. So in this room, we had the group of kids who learns out of this room right now is our Bridges kids, and they're a bit of a high. There you go. They were a bit of a challenge in their old room, and it was a very large space, and it maybe wasn't zoned as well as it could have been. And so when they came upstairs initially, when we started developing this room, I was slightly nervous because it was a smaller size. It was a lot more compact, and it was a slightly different expectation being in this zone. They rose to the occasion beautifully, and they've been in here for about 7 weeks now, and I've seen huge progress. Jared Anaka, who's their teacher, him and I debrief every day. I'm in and out all day, and they have really gone miles, and I'll share a few stories with you. One young lady we had, she's in grade 9, and she was just a bit of a firecracker and not able to regulate herself, not able to kind of enjoy being at school at all. And she came up here and slowly trying to integrate the self-regulation strategies and just letting them be in this space. We didn't really say, well, this chair does this, or check out this desk. We just let them explore it. And she was like, hey, have you seen what these desks do? Do you know that this chair goes up and down? These are great. Why don't we get these in every classroom? Like, her positivity, I was just like, is anybody hearing this? Like, it was just so good coming from this student. Just fantastic. Lots of feedback like that. Some of the boys aren't as vocal, but the girls have really, really been able to share their ideas. And I've rearranged this room about 6 times, just based on the needs of the kids that are in here. So whatever it is that they might need, or the particular social dynamics of the group that month, we change it and we roll with it, and it really seems to be working. So
that's a very, I'll just be interrupting a smidgen, if that's okay. So that in itself, did you hear what you just said, that she's changing based on the needs of the kids, which is a huge 21st century advancement versus the old way when we were supposed to get kids ready for school, right? So now we're getting schools ready for kids. So that's a huge celebration. And then response to intervention is also another huge thing where she, as a teacher, is being responsive to the needs of her children, her students, her young people. And so that's another terrific celebration. And so it's that ongoing assessment of, wow, what do my kids need? And we're not saying you change daily, but you're saying, gosh, what does Chris need? And so that's another huge celebration.
It really is, and just observations, small observations. They never said anything. I just kept noticing they kept moving beanbags to certain spots, and I kept noticing they would come in and they would rearrange things based on what they wanted that day. And there was a girl and boy clashing happening. So the girls are over here, and one particular student really kind of needs to zone in. So I just like, hey, let's move this computer. It doesn't really go here, but this is what she needed. And in here she's got some charts to kind of regulate herself.
No, this is a terrific celebration. So again, another adaptive feature. So this was a young lady that was having difficulties regulating, and so for many of us to have this kind of this protected cocooning area for her is inviting for her to learn. And again, this was, I think we went looking one day for extra carrels in the school, so this didn't cost us any money. So the other thing we're doing is we're trying to do this all without costing money also.
And other kids, they gravitate immediately to the couches, to the beanbags, to the computers, sitting and reading in the exercise equipment. It really, and they interchangeably do it. It just really flows nicely, and they have nothing but really positive things to say. The lights are always off in here. We only have, in the daytime we get plenty of natural light. So the lamps are perfect lighting. Never once has a child in this room asked to turn the lights on. They just don't. The little fidget things, they use them very, very well. I got some Lego over there that took about a week till they decided it wasn't for kids, as like fidgets that's also, motor development, and just kind of zoning this room. But what I really want to say is I teach out of a different room that isn't as regulated as this. I teach in a regular English classroom, share it with the teacher. He's got lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff in there. It just is. And I still can do the same thing. I started in this room when it was the ABED room, and we moved over there, and it's wonderful to model this as like this is ideal, but you can still adopt the strategies and do the same things and have a similar effect, if not equal effect, just with you believing in it and taking it where it needs to go and helping the kids tell you what they need and how they best can show their learning. And I found huge success, and my group of kids is some really busy kids, and that's what inspired me to do this. I saw Brenda in October, and I was seeking something. I didn't even know what it was, but I'm a very flexible person. I'm open to new things, and I heard what she had to say, and like kids' names were just popping through my head. Like, this could work for them, and how can I make this work in high school? And maybe we don't do that sort of thing like elementary, but we could do this. And I started just week by week pulling in new strategies, and they started to work. So I'd start to read more, and then it's really flourished because our administration here is so supportive. We got this room, and our spaces are interchanging. It's really kind of, all the teachers around are curious and supportive of it, and it's been a very positive experience, and I only expect it to be even better as we continue. This has been about 4 months, and lots of good stories to tell. So
what we often hear, I'm working with many of the feeder schools that come into the high school, and what we often hear, unfortunately, is that, oh, they're going on to high school. Well, you know what happens in high school. We hear that a lot, and so now I can say, well, actually, we are sending them on to a high school that is celebrating 21st century learning, so there's not going to be a problem. And this is a beginning journey for many of us, and we are not going to change overnight, but I can tell you, since I've been working here in September, there has been significant change very quickly. And so now when I'm out at some of my feeder schools as they come into here, and we're problem solving kind of in elementary school as to what strategies are going to work for certain kids, I know that we can send them off to this high school now with documentation that they're going to be taken care of, and that we have administration that's going to say, if we send Chris off and say, Chris really does much better when he's standing at the back of the room, so how are we going to let that happen? And we have administration now who are going to support that, and I think that's a terrific movement.
Are we developing those portfolios? Like that
Yes.
kind of personal information and being able
Yes.
to...
Yes. So what I'm doing right now is developing in kindergarten, the starting journey in kindergarten of what different children need to learn in different ways. And we are developing picture portfolios, and then we are developing them through a living document, so that it would be, that's the self-regulate, the metacognitive piece of knowing, wow, look at my journey and so when kids are graduating from grade 7 at these schools, they're going to be arriving with what we call a metacognition is knowing how you learn, a metacognitive portfolio of how they learn. Because our report cards don't really reflect how kids learn, they tell you what kids have learned. And so I'm very interested in thinking, I want Chris Beaton to know exactly how he learns, and I want Chris Beaton to know what strategies work for him, what strategies don't work for him, so that we have kids that can articulate those critical strategies. And so that's the work that I'm doing at Seaview right now, and so we will be sending children up with these electronic portfolios that will document their learning, their reading strategies, their writing strategies, their numeracy strategies, so that our kids will be able to articulate at any point what strategies work for them and what don't for them.
I'm doing a similar thing with my grade 9 class here. Slightly more onerous on the kids, where they're creating their own portfolios, and we started in November, sort of like the learning journey from then till now. And it's the language, they're using the language as if it's just fluent now.